Hi, everyone. It's Marcia Martin, the Heart Healer, and I am so grateful to be here with you today. We are in this unprecedented time of energy, of unconditional love, and it feels great. But the reason that we're going to be talking about fear today is because it's new. This energy is new, and the purpose of unconditional love is to bring up to the surface things that we may have been holding on to, limiting beliefs, negative thinking, old fears that we haven't really cleared sufficiently, or that we're now at a new level where we can clear them even more than before. But here's what happens when you encounter something new, some place that you may have never been before. You might have some uncertainty. You might not be sure of how things are going to work out, and it can cause you to get into a place of fear. But rather than just run away from it or say, oh, I'm not going to look at it or I'm not afraid, what if we had some practical ways to look at that fear and to really be done with it? As always, the best thing you can do is to get into your heart to clear that energy. And that, by far, is the best way to move forward. But there are also things that we can do that are sort of, I call them backup plans. Things that will solidify what you have done in the spiritual in real time, in now, in the physical. A piece of paper that you can look at, that you can see, oh gosh, here are my action steps. I don't even need to put a toe into that water of fear because, look, I have an action plan. I don't need to go do battle with that fear. I've laid it to rest. I have an action plan. I can move forward and be excited about what's coming and be open to all of this new, incredibly wonderful energy. Now, because so many of you that I have spoken to are really getting caught up in a fear state, and that is not a judgment. That's just things are very new right now, and old fears are coming up. And because so many people are experiencing this at the same time, I've decided we really need a class about defeating fear. It will be a combination between the spiritual, where we really get in there and take a look at what's been causing you a problem, and then do the energetic work that we need to do in order to release it. But it will also have practical, so that moving forward, you'll have a roadmap. You'll have things that you can continue to do, so that you'll have the opportunity to really feel like, I've got this. The spiritual work is immediate, but we can undo all of our spiritual work if we go back and pick up the thread that says, oh, I really think there's something that I need to be afraid of. If that's the way we've been used to thinking, it will take us some time to get used to living a life without fear. And that's why it's good to have physical follow-up things that you can do that will remind you, I'm okay. I have this action that I can take that will help me move forward until I really have let go of that fear mentally. I'm not thinking about it anymore. I know I let go of it spiritually, but I'm still kind of processing it mentally. So we add in the practical. So I'm in the process of putting that class together. They've already brought forward some really dynamic exercises. I'm really excited. I've started using some of the offerings, and they are Fabulous. I love whenever they give me something new to try just to see how you can supercharge your life even more. But for now, let's take a look at what they've offered us about how to defeat the demon of fear. And this is just an overall look, not an in-depth class. The class I will be putting together in the next couple of days and get that out to all of you. So again, if you're not already on the email list, make sure you hop on there. You don't want to miss this class. Email me at Marcia, M-A-R-C-I-A, at marciamartinthehearthealer.com. Okay, so with all of that big drum roll, I'm excited to share with you what they've had to share with us about fear. And they begin. Dear ones, as the planetary ascension continues and the outpouring of upgraded higher energy increases, most of you are feeling the effects. Some of these things you can put into words that describe what you're experiencing physically, emotionally, or intellectually, even though you've entered into a previously unknown energetic system. But the spiritual upgrades you're experiencing may have left you feeling bewildered. And when we get in that state of uncertainty, that's when fear can take hold of us. The stomach ache may go away. The emotional tension you feel may lessen. Even the dark thoughts you're thinking will eventually subside as new thoughts come to take their place. But the spiritual continues to elude, and that which appears to be ever-changing and unsubstantial brings with it the energy of fear. What is this thing that's happening to me? Why do I feel so unmoored? And where do I go to find the answers so I can get my life sorted out again? With so much upheaval, there always comes fear. When everything is an unknown, the lack of certainty translates into fear. So the first thing we need to remember is you're not broken if you are experiencing moments of fear. There's a lot of unknown, and we've got to get in the habit of trusting. But there's nothing wrong with you for having a moment when you feel like, I feel really weird or disconnected or not sure. As you know, fear has a purpose. When you're facing a physical threat or you're experiencing danger, you must react quickly to keep yourself safe. Fear becomes that motivator. When you feel the rush of fear, you receive a burst of adrenaline so you can move faster and place yourself out of danger. We want you to allow fear to do the job it was designed to do, instead of trying to protect you from accomplishments. Over the course of time, fear has been transformed by the human mind from something useful to keep you safe from harm to something harmful that may prevent you from taking a first step into the unknown. Now, for most of us, what we fear is not an immediate threat or danger. It's almost always a what if. I'm worried about tomorrow. I'm worried about this meeting or this bill or this conversation that I'm going to have. You're concerned about what's coming, not about what's happening at this moment. It's not fear's fault. We understand that you all feel more comfortable when there's an enemy, someone or something you can blame for your perceived failures or avoidance. But it's not fear's fault. Fear is doing the job it was assigned by the Creator. But it's you who have warped the concept of fear into something bigger than it was ever meant to be, as you began assigning to yourselves smaller and smaller roles, less to be responsible for, and fewer ways to feel worthy. Okay, I looked at that and said, oh my gosh, this is why they are always harping on us. Step into your fullness, step into your fullness. It's not okay to play small. You came to do something so much more. And in that sentence, they just explained that when we feel small, when we take on less responsibility because we feel that we are not able or worthy, it absolutely knocks us so far into left field that it's difficult then to discover ways to feel worthy. And when you're not feeling worthy, you don't feel brave enough to take that first step toward the thing that you really desire. Society made every attempt to annihilate itself by raising a few and trying to enslave the others. Fear was the handmaiden they employed, and until you understand how to use fear properly, you will continue to cower in fear. Therefore, let's look at what fear can and cannot do for you, and then help you learn how to use fear as your helper instead of your ruler. Yes, fear can be used to your benefit, but you must understand its purpose in the spiritual as opposed to its obvious purpose in the physical, which is to protect you from danger. So we have to understand everything has a benefit. There is a good use for everything. Applying a physical response to a spiritual problem will not solve the problem, but it will lead you deeper into the darkness. You must stop interpreting the fear you feel as a threat to your physical survival when there is no immediate danger. So we've all been conditioned. Oh, this what if could really be a big problem. I really shouldn't face it. I really should just get out of the way. I'm too small. I'm too weak. I'm not enough. That's using fear inappropriately. If you placed yourself in physical peril, move out of the way. Take judicious action and alleviate the immediate danger. But this is not constructive when the danger is emotional or spiritual in nature. We combine these two states for this example because in this case, you've not as yet learned to separate the two. Therefore, when you perceive that there may be a threat in the distant future, you immediately go into fear mode, wanting to shut down and protect yourself from this thing that may or may not be coming to greet you. We want you to stop acting in anticipation of what may be coming or reacting to what happened in the past. Oh, wow, if we can just wrap our heads around that. This thing that happened to me before is not a good indicator of what will happen to me in the now or in the future, unless we have spent all of our time focused on that past action, none of our time recognizing our value and our strength, and we believe that we're so small that everything that happened in the past is going to repeat itself and we're powerless to stop it. If that's where you are, then I guarantee you that yes, you are going to revisit the past. It's not punishment. It's your opportunity to face it and clear it. Stop allowing your past programming, those events that occurred in which you didn't successfully navigate the terrain, from acting as your yardstick moving forward. The anticipation of it is causing you to become paralyzed with fear. It didn't get here yet. You're just thinking about it, and already you're shutting down. Instead of using fear as your motivator and allowing it to propel you toward a solution, you're using it as an excuse and allowing it to be the reason why you accomplish nothing. The problem lies not in the fact that you're facing an unknown, but in the fact that you're allowing your fear of the unknown to immobilize you. Wow. So, it's not a problem with the unknown. It is the fact that we have conditioned ourselves to be afraid of that. Today, when fear threatens to derail you from your current place in the present with its threat about what may occur in the future, it's time to use the energy in a way that profits you. Stop. Take a few minutes to breathe through the cascade of thoughts that are tumbling through your mind and ask yourself, am I in immediate danger? If the answer is yes, move. Move quickly, but move. However, we know the answer will more often be, I could be at some point in the future. Once you've assessed that there's no immediate threat, take the energy that has been generated by the fear and put it to use. So they're not saying you will never be afraid, but they are already giving us some concrete ways that we can use this energy, this burst, to motivate ourselves and to help us move forward. Say to yourself, if I do nothing, I will encounter the thing I fear. Therefore, I must do something to prevent this fear from being made manifest. So right there, you've said, okay, if I just stand here or sit here or try to ignore it, more likely than not, this thing that I'm afraid of will be created. So I might as well take some action that will put me out of the line of fire. The emotional body may want to feel helpless. Set it aside. Access the spiritual body that knows there's always something you can do. Now get busy taking an action toward a loving resolution from where you are, using only what you already have. This is most important. You must do something with what you already possess if you are to defeat the demon of fear represented by the feeling of helplessness. So, when you are feeling that something is coming that is bigger than you are, the action you must take has to be done with what you already have. This does not mean that you say, when I get $1 million, I'll build myself a fortress and I will always be safe. Unless you have $1 million, that is not using what you already have. There's always something that can be done. And with this certainty, we present the following solutions. Begin by changing the way you're thinking about the situation. Everyone can do that. Instead of, this is bigger than I am, state the truth. I, as a powerful spiritual being, am bigger than anything that will ever come against me. If you just make that your mantra, I, as a powerful spiritual being, am bigger than anything that will ever come against me, and you say that until you can own it, I guarantee you, you will come up with solution after solution. You'll now be in the place where you can receive the answers you're desiring. Once you've entered the right mind space and are calm enough to proceed, go into the heart. If you cannot calm to the point of a meditative state, begin a physical activity that will burn off the excess energy and engage in that activity until you feel calm. So if you are bouncing off the walls because this fear seems so big, go take a walk. If you run, take a run. Go to the gym. Do something so that you're not dealing with an excess of physical energy. Once calm, get into the energetic heart space and examine whatever past associations you have that are creating or egging on the fear. We got to realize how much of this we're responsible for. We make it so much bigger because we don't take the time to do the work to clear the fear. Clear yourself of these limiting beliefs. Release them. Release yourself from their energy and refuse to entertain their presence. This means you're going to have to be disciplined. This means no more slapdash attention to the spiritual. Instead, discipline. Be committed. Once you've cleared the heart space and your mind has asserted your superiority over the problem that may be forthcoming, get out pen and paper and begin writing down everything you could do to solve the problem. Now, what happens if you say, I can't think of anything? Well, then you are still in the state of blocking, and you need to go back and say, into that heart space, why am I blocking this? What is it that I'm wanting to hold on to more than I'm wanting to solve the problem? Don't contain your action list to the possible or the probable. Just keep writing. Once you've generated the list, set it aside and tell yourself, I am now setting aside this problem. I am bigger than the problem. It's no longer active energetically, and I have many possible solutions. Then, as you go about your day, refer to this list and see if you feel called to act on any of the solutions as you remind yourself of your superiority over the problem. I want you to notice that it didn't say, get out the list and make yourself frantic doing everything on the list. Run yourself ragged. Go through all the money that you have in the bank. Annoy all of your friends by asking for help. They didn't say any of that. They said, get your list, write down everything no matter how crazy it sounds, and then set it aside, recognizing that there are many solutions and that you are bigger than the problem. Then, if you are called to during the day, you may act on any of those solutions, but not knee-jerk. Really feel it. See, look at the list. Do I feel like this is something that I should do at this time? Be really present. And if you feel guided to take an action, then that will be the right action for that moment. Now, remember that an action is not necessarily running out of your house and knocking on a bunch of doors. It can be as quiet and as simple as getting into your meditative state and doing a visualization. That is still an action. Action does not equate physical movement. All they're referring to when they say action is something that will move you forward. Take action as you feel guided, with the understanding that fear should be a motivating factor and not your slave master. Your spiritual superiority enables you to proceed fearlessly. You have nothing to fear and everything to gain because there is a solution to every problem. Now, the only way that you would be unable to believe that there is a solution to every problem is if you believe that somehow the Creator is not capable of overseeing the universe that they created. You would have to believe, well, the Creator can handle most things, but there are some things over here that have gotten out of control and, they can't be handled by the Creator. I'll have to do this by myself. When you really think about it that way, you realize how silly that mindset is and how incredibly damaging it is when you allow yourself to think that way. So, let's take a recap, a look at everything that we are dealing with when we're looking at fear. We understand that we're entering this age of spiritual responsibility. There is no way that we can pretend that we are uneducated children. We've got some incredible people here, and you're in spiritual graduate school. And I see we have a hand raised, so I'm going to get to you in just a minute. Got to understand, we are in spiritual graduate school. There is so much information out there. Yes, you can choose not to look at it. You can absolutely blow it off completely. But you're not going to be free from the consequences of saying, I don't want to be educated. I just want to continue to be the dummy in the class. You're still going to feel the effects. So you might as well get up, be responsible, and recognize how much information is out there, how incredibly powerful you are, and work on strengthening that connection with the divine. Everyone now has access to the energetic realm. The planet has ascended. The veil has thinned, and access is easy. It used to be much more difficult, that's true, but used to be is not okay to use as your yardstick for today. This means no more excuses or running to others for advice. And what they are saying by that is, if you find a teacher or you find information that is really feeding you, yes, you should go and study and get tools and techniques that will help you and move you forward. But you've got to assume responsibility and use those tools and those techniques. You cannot latch on to the tails of your teacher, the shirt tails of your teacher, and say, do it for me. This is all about growing. Every single one of us is being pushed to grow. If you're not willing to take responsibility for your choice, you're still going to get the consequences. And they're going to be coming much more quickly because the veil is thinner. That means there's less resistance. So that thing which you feared, you may be finding is coming at you at top speed. So now is the time to really step up. In the past, we may not have felt the effects for a long period of time, but it's almost immediate. And this change of pace can make us a little fearful. We can get a little concerned about what's coming next. But remember, we are being encouraged to be serious students and to be prepared to use the energy to our advantage. There is so much good teaching, but you've got to take it and run with it. We have to step away from the energy of blame. It is not someone else's fault. We've got to step away from the energy of fear and of I quit and into the energy of discipline, patience, perseverance. I know a lot of my clients say, I don't want to be patient. I get it. But get your life running on the right track. You can't be going along saying, I'm doing great, I'm really strong for 5 minutes, and for the rest of the day be complaining, talk about how small you are, how nothing goes your way, and poor me. You can't sustain forward motion if you are going to allow yourself to keep dropping back into the fear and complaining channel. If something doesn't seem to be moving forward, you got to take stock of what you're doing. Reevaluate it. Does it feel good? Double your efforts. But if it feels off, examine that. You might need to pursue an alternative. You may need to stop the complaining. You may catch yourself complaining. You got to remember, there's always a solution. We got to be on the lookout for the new way, the better way, open to all options. Try new ways of being and doing. If you're getting resistance, just saying, okay, today I'm not going to complain. And 5 minutes later, you find yourself complaining. Try something new. That was sort of a negative way to start out. Instead, say, I'm so excited and so proud of myself for making the decision to be more positive. Now, I feel much better when I say that to myself, instead of saying to myself, oh my gosh, I just realized I've been complaining. What was I thinking? I'm so stupid. Don't I know better? When am I going to stop this habit? Well, probably not anytime soon because I just beat myself up for it. That was not loving. We got to remember to claim our spiritual authority. Instead of, I'm scared of what's coming, get into the habit of saying, I'm excited about all of the possible ways I can find to solve this situation satisfactorily. I'm excited about what's coming. So, let's take a really practical example. Because in addition to fears, some of the things that I've been hearing from people are that they're losing their house. Now, on the surface, this appears horrible. And they'll say, I'm losing my house, I'm ruined, I can't go forward. I'm destitute. Okay. On the surface, that's a big fear. What's going to happen next? So acknowledge the trauma. Acknowledge that it's there. You don't just put your head in the sand and say, if I don't look, maybe the bank will forget about me. Acknowledge that this will be a big change. And then get busy. Explore your options. You don't immediately want to concede defeat. You do immediately want to look for alternative solutions. Remember, there's always an answer. So get out of the fear space, I'm losing my house, and into the answer space and say, what can I do about this situation with what I have? You don't ever solve the problem by saying, if I get $1 million, I'll solve the problem. What do you have now that's accessible that will help you solve the problem? You also have to remember to change your thought process. So you may want to say to yourself, I may no longer be able to stay in my current home, but I'm absolutely certain my new home will be even better suited to me. If you're not resisting this thing that's coming and you're excited, you are much more likely to be in the state where you can find a solution. Yes, you may end up leaving that home. That's a possibility. You may find a solution and stay in the house. Because the house was never the issue. It was your attitude and your fear concerning the situation. You didn't overnight go into foreclosure. This has been an ongoing process that you have been in fear of, and the fear has prevented you from finding a solution. It may have reached the crisis point, but the minute you start changing your mind, about how you're viewing the situation, the more quickly you're going to be able to find that solution. When we change our perception, and with certain knowing that everything is working out for our highest good, you're undefeatable. When you move forward certain that things are working out, law of attraction says they must. We can never get away from that. What we focus on, think about, attach to emotionally is absolutely what we're going to encounter. So we've got to change how we're viewing the situation, and how we're talking about it, and how we are reacting to it. We've got to remember to be flexible and not rigid. If you're rigid, you're holding on to some sort of fear. If you're flexible, you're saying, I'm certain that everything's going to work out. Flexible is the flowing, trusting body that says, whichever event unfolds, I'm going to be fine. So let's take a moment now, and then I want to get to the questions, to review the action steps that they outlined so that we can defeat fear. Because it feels so much better when we know something that we can do that feels positive and proactive than when we just feel like we're lost in space. And that's why I want to have a class on this, so you're filled up with action steps that you can take, and you'll get that spiritual clearing as well. So, got to change your belief about the situation. Recognize that there's always an alternative solution. Be open to receiving your highest good. Got to be responsible. Recognize that your past choices mean that you may have to move through a period of clearing or resettling or challenging in order to get to the next phase. Don't beat yourself up. Just, okay, I get it. The way I was acting and thinking and attaching emotionally to this problem in the past has created this new roadblock. But by changing my thoughts, by changing my attitude and my attachment to it, I'll move through it quickly and victoriously. Your good attitude will make every situation go forward more smoothly. I don't care what it is. A good attitude, belief in the certainty and trust is going to make it turn out better than you could have possibly imagined. Fear of the situation, however, will make the experience go on. It will seem like forever. And it will become increasingly more painful because you will become increasingly more rigid. And the answers will feel like they're further and further away. Also, we need to remember to enter the heart space and clear the negative thinking and limiting beliefs. Now, I have a technique for that is incredibly powerful. But you get with your guides. You spend time in your heart space and figure out how you can do that. If you need my help, I'm always available to work with people, one-on-one or in groups, to teach you how to do that. But you've got to recognize you're not going to move forward clinging to your negativity, to your poor me, I'm unlucky, I never win, I'm worthless. If that's what you're saying about yourself and your situation, it will be true. Law of attraction will make sure that that's what shows up in your life. Also remember that if you're unable to become calm enough to go deep enough to do the clearing work, this is not done on the surface. Hard work is done in the deepest recesses of the energetic field. So if you're all jangled with nerves, get some exercise. Do whatever exercise you need to do for however long so that you can calm down. Or if you know EFT and you feel comfortable doing that, and that is enough, you can do EFT. But you've got to do something to get yourself in the place where you can access the deep reaches. So once you've righted your mind and cleared the heart, now you are open to hearing answers. You've got your divine channel open again. So begin writing down every possible solution and don't look at it and say that's too outlandish. Just get it out there. Get it out there. Fill up that paper with solutions. Then remember they told us to put away the list and to declare your superiority over the problem, your spiritual authority. And then through the day, if you feel a little nudge, you might want to take that list out again and see if there's an action step that you can take that will feel good. If it feels like someone is beating you over the head with a club, that's probably not the right action step to take. You guys are incredible. You are brilliant, and you have access to the divine. Use it. So, let's hear from you, and I don't have a name, 905-458-8556.
Hey, Marcia.
Hi, honey. I thought that might be you. How are you, Preet Paul?
I'm good. I actually wanted to share something. So I have a process. I have a process. It involves the eternal now moment. Every configuration is. It just is. Every single configuration is. So I visualize like universes being birthed in my crown chakra and spreading to my energetic body. Every single configuration is. Now, I use the power of imagination, using the power of like profound imagination to flow energy in my body. And I want to win the lottery, and I could feel the isness because every configuration is. What I visualize is in every one of my cells, there is two identical lottery tickets, two identical winning lottery tickets in every one of my cells. And they're jumping up and down, and they're just exuberating, and everything feels this win. Everything in the universe feels this win. It just, my aura where this, there's a party of non-physical that's blessing me with the win, and there's just a party, and it's just like this profound exuberance that I feel when I do these visualizations. Imagination could take you to places it could take you to the isness of any reality, and I use imagination beyond measure. Because every configuration, every parallel reality exists. You could mimic how it feels like to be a king and feel the isness of how it feels like to be a powerful king that's loving and respectful and exuberant and just knowledgeable. You could feel the isness of anything. And yeah, I wanted to share that.
And how brilliant of you to bring that up, because that goes right along with, you've created this great visualization. It is something that you can do at any time and any place. It's not dependent on you having already won the lottery. But what's the one thing that you know about this? Can you do it one day and then immediately get into a defeated mind the next day and come back, let's say, the third day and feel that same energy? What have you learned from doing this visualization?
I learned I learned a lot about vibration. So I started off in a chakra, and you don't even need the visualization of the chakra. So because we don't create from our thoughts. Our vibration is the most root thing that you could get to. So how we're vibrating, the tingling sensation in our body. So what I learned is you feel within your body and see genuinely if the imagination is working on you. If your vibration will let you know if you are having, and you might not. It might be subtle. For me, it's very blatantly obvious right now. I could feel it in my crown chakra. But it might be subtle at first, the vibration. But if you're aware of your body 100%, and you feel subtleness of the vibration within your body, then you could correlate it to, yes, this is actually working. This imagination is actually working for me. And yeah.
And so one thing that you've brought up that is so important is you have to keep practicing. You have to really be in touch with the energetic vibration that you're sending out. So you begin where you are. If you're just new at this, begin by examining your thoughts, getting your thoughts under control. Then extend out into the energy. Recognize that those thoughts are not solid matter, but they are their own energetic vibration, and begin feeling what you feel like as you have good thoughts and then negative thoughts. So what Prepal is sharing with us here is he has been persistent, he has been disciplined, he has been patient, and he's really devoted a great deal of time and energy to understanding his own energetic signature. And everybody has one that is unique. No one can do this for you. A teacher can help you and can guide you, but if you're not willing to do the work on your own, you're really not going to make many advances. This is a personal relationship that you have to develop. So, Prepal, thank you. That was really such a good reminder. We don't live in a unidimensional universe. There is every different reality is happening at any time. And the minute that we suspend our disbelief and start really using what we are as spiritual beings, we have access to so much more. We get caught up in the physical because we can see it, we can touch it, and we can feel it. And we think, oh, this is really real. And then we run into situations like, oh, I'm losing my house, I'm going to be destroyed. And we believe that that's real. But there are all these alternative realities that we can hop over into where we can experience what it would feel like to live without the pressure. And just spend our time over in that place, making it so real that it has to become our physical reality. So, Prepal, you have to let us know when you manifest this lottery win, which we know that you will, and we'll all celebrate with you. Actually, we'll celebrate with you now in advance because we know something great is coming.
Yeah.
And the thing that we need to remember whenever we let fear run off with us is we got to ask ourselves the question, what am I gaining by thinking this? Is it going to move me forward? Or think about what Prepal said. I can feel it. It is so real to me. It is such just right there waiting. It's just a matter of time before it comes into my place of being, into this reality, because I can feel it. I know it's there. So what am I gaining by thinking these thoughts if you're thinking about fear? And also, what am I losing by entertaining the fear? Look at it as cost versus benefit. What's it costing you to hold on to these fearful thoughts? Well, if you are losing your home, fear may have just caused you to go into financial debt and lose your home. That's a pretty darn big price to pay. Now, I understand that many people still don't understand. This would be new, and we're not blaming. This is not victim bashing. This is education. If you didn't know, you didn't know. But as soon as you do know, get busy, get excited, get thrilled that you have spiritual authority. Otherwise, you will live your life as a victim of whatever fear happens to pop into your mind. And that's not a nice place to be. That does not feel good. So if fear got a hold of you in the past, just let it go. I get it. We've all been there. It wasn't fun. But now that you know there's something that you can do about it and you don't have to be afraid, I don't want you to spend any more time giving energy to that thought. Instead, do what Preet shared with us. Get busy feeling the vibration of the thoughts that you're thinking until they feel good, until you feel that you're really being uplifted. And if you cannot get to the feeling place, if that is still new to you, if that feels uncomfortable, write it down. Write down things that feel good. Write down things that as you say them, and then you'll get more and more used to engaging with the vibrational nature of your thoughts. And start really getting disciplined about looking for the positive outcome. And one of the best ways to do that is to just remind yourself that no matter what's happening around you, you can find something good in that circumstance. And again, they've told us or taught us today that we need to say, I'm bigger than this. I have spiritual authority over this. Actually, let's go back and get exactly what they said. I am now setting aside this problem. I am bigger than the problem. It's no longer active energetically, and I have many possible solutions. Get used to looking at the problem from the place of solution. Identify the problem, put it away. It no longer exists. Now get over into the energy of solution. We talked about that before. Problem and solution are not on the same energy frequency. Problem is always in the negative or lower registers. You feel when you think about a problem. If you were to write the problem on a piece of paper, you would look at it and you would feel heavy. Solution makes you feel light, excited, happy, energized. If you were to write out the solution or many possible solutions, it would feel like, yeah, I got this, I can do this. You would be honoring yourself with possibilities. And in that high vibration, we want to spend as much time as possible in the high vibration of love, joy, and peace. That's where the divine hang out. They are not over in your fear-based thinking. Even though the divine is everywhere, once you get into fear-based thinking, you've closed off your connection. They're still there. They're pouring out their answers continuously, but you're not where you can hear them. Get out into the open air of love, joy, and peace, where the door is flung wide open and you can receive all those answers they're pouring forth onto you. You will be so grateful that you did. But understand, in the beginning, if you've been used to complaining, because that's what you were taught, or that's what you've learned, or that's the habit that you've acquired over the years, if that's what you're used to, it's going to take some time to get yourself away from that habit. So no bad-mouthing yourself. And you know, as long as I've been doing this, I have to share, I caught myself complaining about something. And I was like, oh, look at you. I was so grateful to see that I had caught myself, and so delighted that I knew that, hey, I don't need to stay in this place. I recognized that I got a little lazy and I went to that place, but now that I don't have to be here. I can take positive action and lift myself back up into that wonderful space of love, joy, and peace and feel good. Now, this particular case, I was complaining about the weather. It had gotten unseasonably hot real quickly, and so I just fell into the game of complaining about the weather. And you could say, well, you can't do anything about the weather. Yeah, but I can do something about what I'm thinking and how I'm feeling about it. And maybe my change of thought and my change of heart toward it will mean that a cloud comes across the sun, or a gentle breeze comes up from nowhere and it just blows on the place where I'm standing. I don't know. I just know I'm never going to feel better if I continue complaining about how hot I am. But I will absolutely feel better if I put my mind on something else. If I can't change the situation, I can change what I'm thinking about. I can put my mind on something that feels good, that may have nothing to do with what I was with the weather. I can get all involved in another project and feel good about that. And the weather will cease to be as important. And I will not have taken myself out of the place where my spiritual authority gives me the opportunity to be a problem solver instead of a problem generator. So, I'm excited. We now have a wonderful roadmap to move forward. Don't forget, I'm going to be announcing a class on this, and they're going to share with us really in depth. They just give us an idea, for the blog post. It is more generalized. We're not in a class. We're not in a teaching situation per se. So they're not going to share specifics. It would take too long and needs explanation, and we need to do energetic work around it. But in the class, I can really share with you the techniques and the energetics that they have shown me that are both practical and spiritual, so that you're never lost or never left feeling lost, like, oh, what can I do now? There's always something you can do. And one of the best things that you can do is to be prepared. So here's something that we can do, everybody can do with no preparation, and that is create for yourself 2 different lists, or as many different lists as you want. I just happen to think of 2. One can be things that I can do when I'm scared. And you may make a list or put it all in separate pieces of paper and put it in a box or a bowl or whatever you want it to be. So let's say this is things to do when I'm scared or when I'm afraid. And you start writing down things that bring you joy, things that will take your mind off any situation. And they are just general. Just go for a walk. I can sing a song. I can watch a funny movie. These are completely generic, just stuff that will get your mind off of whatever current situation that you may be not wanting to look at it at the moment. You just need to take a breather. Let's say it's in a box and it's all on separate pieces of paper. You could just reach your hand in there, whip out a piece of paper, and it says, watch a funny movie. Go watch a funny movie, or don't. The paper is not your dictator, but it will give you a little bit of a motivator to do something different. And another box that you can have is things to do if I'm feeling depressed. Sometimes we get stuck in a little bit of a rut. So you may have a list of fun things to do that will get you out of whatever space you've gotten stuck in. And again, you can put them on a separate little sheets of paper, put it in a box, put your hand in there, whip out, go to the park. Now, one thing that you've got to remember, if you are not in a financially abundant position, don't put things on your list that cost a lot of money. That's not going to feel good. So make sure your list is appropriate to what you can do with what you have. That was the big takeaway. Do something with what you have now. Has to be what you can do now. What you have now. Not what you might have, not what you used to have. What do you have now that you can use to make a difference? All right, everybody, that's it for today. This will be up on YouTube, and you'll all receive a note that you can listen to it. Don't forget to like and subscribe. It's Marcia Martin, the Heart Healer, on YouTube. And please share that channel with anyone that you know. This is, with all of you adding in, it becomes such a wonderful tool to uplift and encourage and inspire ourselves and others. We are all teachers on a wonderful journey toward greater and greater enlightenment. So I thank you all for being here, for participating, just for listening, for bringing your fabulous energy to uplift all of us. So until next Wednesday, I'm sending you my love.